Real quick, just a reminder to check out my movie channel. The link is in the description. I have videos on there about the new Alex Garland movie, Civil War. I have a Dune 2 review. I have, some tier list of guys like Christopher Nolan and David Fincher, and Alex Garland tier list is coming up. So be on the lookout for all that. Again, link is in the description, but back to your regularly scheduled video. All right, let's talk offensive linemen. This is always an interesting topic of discussion. It's one of the, I always kind of view this partially through the lens of how good of a job do I do evaluating these types of players, and offensive line is definitely one of my stronger positions. It's something that I think part of why I've been doing a good job at it these past couple years with offensive and defensive linemen is paying attention to analytics and, things like how often are you winning, consistency, stats. Those tend to be pretty good indicators of success at the next level. So that's part of what I do, but I also still watch a lot of film of these players, try to get a blend, because sometimes someone has good analytics, but when you watch the tape, it's, actually it's just because of this. Sometimes someone has bad analytics, but there's a reason for it as well. But I usually start with the analytics and then say, well, is there a reason for it? And sometimes there is, sometimes there isn't. So yeah, let's just get into the list, starting off with number 7. Number 7 are Marius Mims out of Georgia. I should mention, you might be wondering, why did I pick 7 for this? Well, because there were, more than 5 guys I liked, but I didn't quite want to go up to 10, so I decided to arbitrarily cut it off at 7. Marius Mims out of Georgia. So you know how people say a wide receiver is sometimes a Popeye's biscuit away from being a tight end? I wrote in my notes, he is a Popeye's biscuit away from being 2 tight ends, because he is, a big guy here, out of Georgia, 6'7", 340 pounds, and he's still just 21, so he could get bigger. Obviously that's going to be exciting. That's something that you're going to be excited about. Oh my God, this guy is huge. I would say, some of the stuff of how he wins is because of that size, which I do wonder, in the NFL level, is that going to work as well? He's a very raw player, kind of a lot of times gets by on his physicality. When he gets his hands in position to where they need to be, like, he's unbeatable. He is someone who, pass blocking analytics are solid, run blocking analytics not so good. So that's maybe the concern a little bit of what are you actually getting with Mims. But I do think with the upside, he is an interesting enough prospect for me. I do actually have a first-round grade on Mims, albeit it's a bit of a later first-round grade. But yeah, so he's number 7. Number 6 is Graham Barton out of Duke, who's a really unique player. I do have a first-round grade on him. So he's weird. If you're not someone who has paid attention to him, he played tackle, but is projected to be a center. And when I heard that, I'm like, what? That doesn't make sense. And then I watched his film, and I'm like, oh, that makes perfect sense. Watching him, he blocked like a center at the tackle position. It's kind of weird to say that, but if you watch the film, you'll immediately see, oh, yeah, definitely, definitely true. Kind of the negative is we'll kind of hold on to guys a lot, which sometimes will lead to some penalties or lead to what could be penalties if guys at the NFL level are stronger, can get by him. But I don't know. I thought his vision was very good. That was something I wanted to pay attention to, was how smart is he as a player if he's going to play center. Seemed to be pretty smart. I thought the tape was very good. The analytics aren't great. They're not. But again, he was playing a position that he's not going to play at the NFL level. So I'm willing to spend a first-round pick on him. A late first-round pick, but I'd be willing to spend a first-round pick on him. I think there's some real talent there. Number 5 is J.C. Latham out of Alabama. I have him kind of a mid-first-round grade. It's a really great, offensive line class, I think. I mean, I have 7 guys with first-round grades. Like, I don't know if that's ever happened. Latham, big guy, 6'6", 335. His highlights are incredible. The highlights are incredible. The size is incredible. I think that, other aspect, like the strength is good. Sometimes you see these big guys, but they're not actually that strong. The strength is really good. And he's another guy where it's like, if he can get his hands in the right place, like, he's unbeatable. Doesn't always happen. He is someone who, I would say he gets too aggressive sometimes, and it comes back to bite him. Another guy where the analytics aren't amazing. They're not. They're on the lower side, and that's the concern. But he's another guy where you feel like you can maybe coach him up and get him down that way. And I also think that he could be a guard if he has to. I think he would be good at guard if the tackle doesn't work out, which it's always nice to have someone who doesn't just have to succeed at one position. Also, with him being a bigger guy, sometimes gets off balance. But again, the upside is there for me. I'm still pro JC Latham, even if the analytics aren't spectacular. Number 4, Jackson Powers Johnson out of Oregon, who, listen, a guy named Jackson, I gotta put him high on my list. It's annoying because the name Jackson used to be a very uncommon name when I was growing up. Like, no one was named Jackson. Now everyone's named Jackson. My parents were ahead of the time, I guess, because now it feels like there's, I think it was like the most common name one year. So it was, when I was growing up, it was an uncommon name. Anyway, not to sound too, back in my day, milk cost 5 cents or whatever. But anyway, sorry about that. Jackson Powers Johnson, the center out of Oregon. And that's, I guess, the criticism is that he's a center and maybe doesn't have the highest upside. But, like, I don't know. This guy just wins. Like, this guy does not get beat. His analytics were great, especially pass blocking was fantastic. His ability to get to the second level was amazing, and there's just so much consistency. He has small arms, I guess, even for a center, but like whatever. Not really concerning to me. If your baby T-Rex arms are able to get you to win, it's fine. It hasn't slowed down Aiden Hutchinson having small arms, despite that being a big narrative coming out of college. I'm not too concerned about that. As long as you win, he wins. Should be a good center. Number 4 on my list. Number 3 is a name I'm going to have to really learn to pronounce, but Alumawu Fashanwu is Fashanwu will be how I say it. Sorry about it's a tough name to pronounce. You gotta, cut me a little bit of slack here. I struggle with the easiest names to pronounce, so it's tough. But yeah, out of Penn State, pass blocking analytics are great. Run blocking, not quite so much. And to be honest, I feel like he's too cautious in the run game. Like, he won't just go up and attack guys. Like, he's big enough guy, 6'6", 320. Like, he's a big guy. Go out and attack players. Still just 21 years old. That's kind of my biggest critique in the running game, and that's probably why he's number 3. Is because of that. But he moves well for his size. The length works to his benefit. He's a smart player. Noticed that on film. And his hands are really good in pass protection. He just needs to be a little bit more aggressive in the run game. Will he become that? I don't know. That feels like something you could easily coach up, but sometimes, again, you have to wonder, though, well, why hasn't it been easily coached up yet? Sometimes that's just how players are. I don't know. But yeah, big fan of him. Number 3 on the list. Number 2 is Talise Fuaga, who is out of Oregon State. Again, very good analytics, especially in the running game. Someone who I kind of think should be maybe a guard. I think that could be kind of the better way to do it, although he could play tackle. But again, for me, I don't really care if you're a better tackle or guard. Like, I think there's a lot of data to suggest guards are just as valuable as tackles, but people tend to like the tackles because they feel it protects the quarterback more. Okay, fine, fair enough. But I still think he's really good. I think that the analytics are spectacular. The way he can pick up stunts, again, smart player. Which if he's going to play guard, you got to do that. I guess the negatives are a little bit of like, well, are you projecting him a little bit to be a guard instead of a tackle? He is definitely more of a run blocker than pass blocker, and he will sometimes overcommit on certain plays. It's kind of the one real tape issue. But I don't know if he plays. I think start him at tackle and then see if you have to move him to the inside. That's what you have to do. I think he should be a good player. I have him at number 2. Number 1, no big scorching hot take this time. Sorry, everyone. Joe Alt. I mean, listen, guys, 6'8", 322 pounds, and moves incredibly well. And the other thing is, like, the analytics are spectacular. Like, the tape is spectacular. Some of these blocks he holds on to for forever. Sometimes it's like 5 seconds in, and the guy's still not able to get around Alt. I just don't really see how he fails. He is also a smart player. His hands are good. I have in my notes. He's an A in every category. Like, there's no category you look at and say, well, that's where he struggles. It just feels like he's not going to fail. Now, I'm not going to say there's no negatives. I think sometimes you will get him off balance. He's 6'8". Like, that's going to happen. And I guess the Evan Neal thing is what you could say is concerning. But Evan Neal had bigger issues on film. Well, I think most people just felt like Evan Neal was going to get better at some of those issues. And who knows? Young enough player. Maybe he still will someday. But, Joe Alt does not have those issues. And, Evan Neal, I remember I had him as my least favorite out of those top guys for the reasons of, like, there were other issues on film I saw. Alt does not have those issues. I think that whoever's drafting him is probably getting a franchise tackle for years. I guess the only other thing I have in my notes is the arm length isn't quite as big as you would expect for a 6'8" guy, but, like, again, whatever. Like, he's fine. You're gonna do all right there. So, yeah, he's someone who, number one in this draft class, and I think number one with a bullet. He's the one guy who, like, I would say, yeah, top 10 pick, absolutely. I'm not saying there's no one else I would even consider, like, top 10 pick, maybe, like, if you really need an offensive lineman, you could make that call, but, like, he's the one guy where it's like, yeah, he should be top 10, and I haven't gotten to all the defensive players yet. I currently have him around the top 5 range, closer, so that's where I have him. I think it could be really good. But yeah, those are kind of my thoughts. What are yours? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from you, and of course, as always, thanks for watching.